Hey everyone, welcome to our Army Showcase, where we talk about why Ultramarines are awesome and why you should play them. We're here today with, of course, Brian's Ultramarine collection.
Yeah, really excited to be showing this army, and for our first debut, we wanted to show the army that is like the poster boys of all of 40K,
right.
And I really do love the Ultramarines, and I'm excited to tell you all about them.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look. All right, so as we mentioned, this is really the classic Space Marine army, the classic Warhammer
it's a classic
army, right?
Warhammer Army.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's funny, this is already kind of your style of paint scheme. It's very bright, very, very clean, but also really fits well with this chapter, right?
Yeah, and I also, you know, as silly as it sounds, I really like playing the good guys in 40K. And there are no good guys, but there are people who strive to ideals that I think are good. And the Ultramarines really fit that for me. And I think, you know, if you're thinking about starting the Ultramarines, I know one of the things that holds people back is they almost feel like they're the generic chapter.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you they actually have a lot of personality. They're a lot of fun to paint, and they're really not that just generic. You know, they've got that really great Romanesque feel. They've really got just a ton of personality. They've got the courage and honor. And I really love this faction.
Yeah, totally. And they're one of the model lines for Space Marines that has the most unique kinds of models, right?
That's true.
You have a lot of really cool, unique things. You have like the Victrix Guard. You have you have obviously
so many characters.
Yeah, all the characters.
But I think the most important thing you have is the only Loyalist Primarch for Butte Gilliman. And for me, Games Workshop, you should know this. If you ever release a Primarch for any faction, I will collect that faction. And I'm so excited that this one has such a cool, great Primarch. And he's a lot of fun. And I just love armies with these dramatic character centerpieces.
Exactly. Just such a cool model. He's actually great in the stories too, because he's one of the more like dynamic and interesting characters.
He really is great. Like he wakes up and then he's like, "This humans suck." Like he hates them, and it almost starts a civil war.
Right.
And it's really cool tension that he's got.
Yeah, he's a great like foil in the narrative in a lot of the cases, where he's kind of the voice of reason, but not in like an unreasonable kind of goody good boy way, which is the rep that he sometimes gets. But he's actually like a really reasonable guy.
He's very practical.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So he's constantly having these like great interactions, both in 30K, but also in modern 40K as well.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that got me to start this is when they first released the Ultramarine Supplement.
Yeah.
And this was when Space Marines started getting their own individual flavor for the first time in 8th edition.
That's right.
All the Space Marines were kind of the same. None of them were very cool or interesting.
Yeah.
But with those supplements, each one started to get its own identity. And the Ultramarines had this really great tactical flexibility, which was kind of, they embodied the Codex Astartes. And you could really feel it on the tabletop. And I really liked that. And one of the things they did is they had this special ability, which they still have, which allowed them to count as not moving when they shot.
That's really cool.
And this is cool for whatever, heavy weapons and bolter discipline and all that sort of stuff. But it was really cool for the aggressors.
Yes.
The aggressors, if you remember in 8th edition, could double shoot if they stood still. Well, this means I can move them and double shoot.
Right.
And I'm a sucker for DACA. You give me something with a lot of DACA and I'm here. So those were actually the very first models I painted was a squad of Boltstorm aggressors. And I like them so much. I love the Gravis feel. They have such a good look. They got the double power fist.
They're really cool.
That was kind of what sparked me starting this army, because I wanted to collect a bunch of those Gravis models.
Yeah.
And they were actually really good.
They were so good at the time.
That's what got me started.
Yeah, I'm digging it. Yeah, and that was a really fun list that you had kind of as your starting collection. Was all these aggressors. You had the option to have Gilliman in the list.
Right.
You even had the Centurions.
Yeah.
Which don't see much play now, but they're still really cool models.
Yeah.
And,
I've always been a sucker for Centurions, particularly Devastator Centurions.
Yeah.
They're kind of what I wish all Space Marines were in a way, like even larger, even chunkier power armor. And so I love the Centurions, and they were downright amazing at the time.
Yeah.
Now not so much, but they've still got a lot of personality.
They're still cool. You know, what comes around goes around.
Yeah.
So you've recently added a lot to this army, right?
That's right.
What kind of prompted that?
Well, if you can see, I did this really bright blue scheme on my Ultramarines with this gold, and I ended up really liking the color. The color really stuck out at me.
Yeah.
And I wanted surfaces that would really show off this color. I wanted to actually do a bunch of vehicles with kind of some big surfaces on them. And so I decided to get a bunch of the new Primaris vehicles as a kind of showcase for this blue and gold.
Totally.
And I don't have any of those new models yet, so I thought the Ultramarines were the spot to get it.
Well, because one thing you mentioned was also that tactical flexibility, and this kind of lends itself well to things like these vehicles. Vehicles don't get things like the rerolls anymore from people, but they do get like your chapter tactics.
Yeah.
So they're fun in the game. It looks so crisp in actual models.
Yeah.
And it really kind of helps bulk out your army into a real full force where you have tons of builds now.
Yeah,
right?
I really like the idea of Ultramarines playing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they have some characters, some troops, some fast attack, some heavy.
Yeah.
You know, I want a little bit of everything, so that's why I'm kind of collecting a bit of that, because that's how I picture the Ultramarines would be
totally.
playing.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool to see because we have a few models.
Yeah.
And this was a collection that you guys could definitely directly see like how it grew over time. You had it in your army, you played that. This is such a huge collection of possible models.
Yeah.
And you kind of picked what you were interested at the time and expanded upon
Yeah,
right?
I only painted the models I liked.
Yeah.
And then made armies out of that. Thankfully, Space Marines were strong enough that you could get away with that.
Totally.
And you still can. And I really enjoy playing them. They're a ton of fun, and pretty much every one of the models I've added to it, I enjoy playing on the table, even if it doesn't have a ton of synergy with the Ultramarines. It can even fill in gaps that they don't have. So I'm really into it.
Yeah. So there's a couple of models that really stand out for me in this army. I really love like your original Smash Captain with the jetpack.
That's right.
He's really cool. You want to tell us a bit about that model?
Yeah, I think I never liked the Thunderhammer Captain, but I always loved the Teeth of Terra Captain. And he actually got really terrifying with the new book. And so I wanted to build my own Ultramarines Teeth of Terra Captain. And so actually this is using bits from a lot of different models. It's using some Kill Team Casius models, both for the body and the jetpack, from two separate Kill Team Casius models.
And it's like the Ultramarine from that kit, right?
It's the Ultramarine body, it's the Blood Angel jetpack with some Ultramarines bits on it.
There it is.
And then it's a 30k Eviscerator. And I don't even know who the helmet is. I think the helmet might be the Kill Team Casius Ultramarine helmet. But I really enjoyed him. And speaking of Kill Team Casius, Casius is one of the special characters, but I really don't like the modern Casius, the one who's had his face melted off. He just doesn't embody that look for me that I want with the Ultramarines.
He just looks a little sad, to be honest.
He probably is sad. And actually, when you and I went to Warhammer World,
that's right.
We were hanging out, taking the tour, and we wanted to buy something in the Warhammer World shop. We each kind of bought like one small thing that we could put in our suitcase.
That's right.
I bought Kill Team Casius, and I got the kind of old Casius model, and I've kind of turned him into my chaplain. And he was the first, he was the first Master of Sanctity. He was the first person who could do 2 litanies in the game before they released that. And we just thought, okay, this is his special ability. He's like the best chaplain in all of 40K. And now everyone has Masters of Sanctity, so that's a little sad for him, but I loved him for a little while. He was so good.
Yeah, no, he's so cool regardless. And that kit is great. That's, I think, a really important thing with Space Marines. And we talked about how Ultramarines in particular get the rep of being sort of like the generic vanilla boys, right? But like kits like Casius or even like the Vanguard vet squads that have all these really cool bits. And let's be honest, many of them are very like Greco-Roman Ultramarine themed, if anything. So that's a fun thing about like doing this collection and having all those little bits you can play and convert with, right?
I agree. You could get all the like honor guard, and they have the plumes on their heads and the like leather straps, and it looks really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a favorite model?
Ooh, this is kind of tough. I have all of my children are my favorite.
Said like the true words of Gilliman.
Yeah, exactly. I really do like them all. And if I had to pick one that I really liked from this army, I'd probably go with Chief Librarian Tigurius. I think he's got a lot of personality. And I love librarians. I love space magic. And he's a really cool librarian. He has a ton of personality. He was one of the first characters to cross the Primaris Rubicon. And become Primarisified. And that really signaled an important change in the game. And for me, I like the Primaris models because I started Space Marines after the Primaris era. And I wanted these new Primaris characters. So this kind of was one of the early models that I was able to pick up that was Primaris. And it showed what they were capable of kind of with this new character design.
So here's a question for you. Why would you recommend this army to someone who might be thinking about collecting something?
Yeah, I actually think this makes a great first army, or certainly a great next army, because I think it has a lot of attributes that are really going for it. One of the first things to think about is, because this is the poster boy, this army will constantly have support. New characters, definitely updated rules, right? Lots of really cool new books. It's always going to have things happening with it. So there's always going to be something for you new that's new and exciting. So I think that's always good. The other thing is the Ultramarines are kind of the ultimate flexibility in Space Marines.
Yes.
Which means any model you want to buy. You can just buy the models you like. I think this is cool, I think that's cool. And anything you buy can work in an Ultramarines army and is like actually viable and sometimes just actually amazing. So it allows you to collect anything you'd like, and it's always, almost no matter the edition, it's just going to work. Right? They've kind of got that balanced nature to them.
100%. They're definitely like the evergreen chapter, right?
Yeah.
And the way that they play even now, it really lends themselves to this. They have all these amazing shooting capabilities, movement capabilities. They do have some melee capabilities, which, while they don't have many, the ones they do have are amazing.
They're excellent,
falling back and charging with like Blade Guard veterans, which are also kind of essential to playing. It's just really cool to have all these options. So it's a great collection where you can't go wrong, right?
It's also an easy army to make look beautiful.
Yes, totally.
You know, you can just, even if you wanted to buy the blue spray and then just like do the trim, you can make this army look really sharp. Now, as you can see, I've done it with an airbrush and I've built up like 5 layers of blue. You don't have to do that. It looks really good just as like a nice flat blue with a wash and a trim. So it's an easy army to make really sharp and pop on the battlefield. You get those symbols on the shoulder and it's ready. It looks great.
Which, you know, is kind of another secret to power is, you know, every box comes with the chapter symbols.
That's right. It's so easy to get the transfers for this army because everything comes with the transfers.
It's all Ultramarines.
You even get the vehicle transfers so that it actually goes a long way.
It
now
really does.
You'll notice here, I actually bought the 30K transfer sheet from Forge World, and I use that from more than half of this, but I also use the free ones for a bunch of it as well, just to have some variety. But you don't have to do that.
They're just great, and I think this ease or flexibility of paint is something that's super important, right? You can do them super basic, you can do them mega fancy, and either way works really well. There's some armies that it's tougher to get away with that,
I agree.
But Ultramarine is definitely not one of them. This is easy stuff, it looks good.
Yeah, speaking of easy, I also want to point out, I think this army is one of the easier to play.
Yeah, totally.
Like if I was trying to show somebody 40K for the first time, I would let them play Ultramarines. Right, because this is an army you do everything you think you're supposed to do. You kind of move up, shoot, and then charge.
That's true.
And then, oh, you charged, okay, you could choose to fight more, fall back and shoot. You just kind of can do it all, it's fine. It's just gonna work, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And this is very much a point and shoot army in some ways. And it's just not filled with crazy tricks. Like it has a few things for the player who really digs into them. But it's a fairly straightforward army, and I think it's just sometimes nice, you know? I've just got my Space Marines, I'm just gonna walk them up and shoot at you, and it just kind of works.
Yeah, great way to get started, and if you become really experienced with this chapter, a lot of interesting tricks you can play with. Just a ton of fun, very tactically flexible, as we mentioned.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Awesome, well thank you so much for showing us your amazing Ultramarines collection.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really hoping to expand it out.
I'm sure this is definitely not the end of it, right?
No. Everything new they release, I'm definitely gonna probably get like a little bit of it for the Ultramarines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let us know in the comments below if you found this to be interesting, useful. We love this army. It's a great army to paint, to collect, to read about. Just really, really cool all around. So let us know what your thoughts are on Ultramarines and what's your favorite army to paint and collect. We'll catch you guys next time on the Tabletop.